Hi everyone and welcome. My name's Maria and I'm going to be taking you through the 2 weekly astrology forecast for Monday the 29th of June all the way through to Sunday, July the 12th. And there is rather a lot happening, rather a lot starting just on the first day, Monday the 29th of June. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so let's have a quick overview of the story of the next 2 weeks. So it's a reality check window. People are going to feel the weight of their decisions, commitments, and long-term direction. The tone is going to be sober, serious, clarifying. We've got some explosive breakthrough energy, that Mars, Uranus, and that Jupiter in Gemini energy coming through. This is the most electric, unpredictable part of the 2 weeks. And this is all happening in that first week. So people are going to break free from the restrictions that they've tolerated for way too long. There's a rebellious, catalytic tone to this. It's going to be quite energizing. But there's also deep healing and vulnerability. Jupiter, Chiron, and Venus, Chiron is going to have, we're going to bring out our wounds around our confidence, our visibility, love, self-worth. They're all going to rise to the surface. And with Chiron just recently going into Taurus, we're going to get the first taste and flavour of that. But our healing is going to be active. It's not passive. This is like the heart opening phase. The tone's going to be tender, revealing, restorative. And then we've got the Neptune retrograde. So we've got illusions dissolving. Neptune retrograde strips away fantasy. It reveals the truth. And this is where we stop lying to ourselves. This is where we awaken to something. So again, that brings along this awakening, sobering, spiritually clarifying. So there's lots of spiritual breakthrough energy there with the Neptune retrograde and Mars Uranus, bringing those sharp, fast, insightful insights through that breakneck speed. So there's a lot going on over the next couple of weeks. So let's have a quick look at the transits. Okay, so let's have a quick look at those key transits. So we start off with a bit of a bang really on the 29th of June. We have Mercury turning retrograde. Now Mercury has been in shadow for a couple of weeks now, but it actually stations to go backwards on the 29th of June, or to appear to go backwards. So obviously when Mercury turns retrograde, you can expect glitches, delays, restrictions, things going wrong, things breaking down. Just allow extra time really to do stuff. If we sort of forewarned, we're forearmed, we know that it's coming, we can plan, build in a bit of extra time. And you don't want these things sort of just landing on you at the last moment when you're not prepared for it, because that obviously brings more frustrations. So anything to do with tech, make sure you're backing everything up, you're giving yourself extra time for journeys, you're driving more carefully, that we're not rushing around, we're allowing additional time for things that may or may not go wrong. And then, we'll be well prepped and well versed. So this is going to be in retrograde until 23rd of July. But there will be a moment on the 12th of July when it will be in Cazimi. So if there is anything that we need to do, that's a really good time to take advantage of that Cazimi energy where there's a bit more clarity and we know exactly what we need to do. And then if not, wait until the 23rd of July, or even better, when everything's completely out of the post-shadow period. And I think it's about the 8th of August time. But, life goes on. We're all busy. We've all got stuff to do. We can't always just stop everything. So we need to just kind of work with the energy as best we can. It's a really good time to review, edit, do anything that needs checking, and to really focus on those kind of things, go back and revisit things that we've already started and perfect them a little bit. That's a really good way to utilise this energy. Okay, so also on the 29th of June, we have full moon in Capricorn. Well, so this one, it's about taking accountability. It's about completion with that full moon energy. We've got long-term decisions, emotional maturity. The full moon exposes where structure's really needed and where emotional boundaries have been too loose. It's a time for getting sober and gaining a bit of clarity about what's sustainable, what's no longer aligned. And we're going to feel pushed to take responsibility to make long-term choices. We may be pushed into leadership roles or taking on responsibility for things. It's that sort of workhouse energy. It's a culmination of effort since the Capricorn new moon that we've had in January. And it's very career focused and status focused and looking at those long-term goals and bringing a bit of focus into them and whether they're sustainable, whether they're still aligned with where we want to be and what we're doing. So it's going to bring a little bit of clarity around those kinds of themes. And then on the 30th of June, we have Jupiter entering Leo. So this energy is all about expansion and creativity, stepping into our confidence, becoming more visible, self-expression, putting ourselves out there, amplifies the themes of joy, performing, romance, shining our light and that personal radiance that we exude. Collectively, people are going to be bolder, they're going to be more expressive, they're going to be more able to take risks. And this transit can boost that, the creative industries, entertainment, children, dating, our personal branding. It's a year really of stepping out into the limelight and spotlight and reclaiming the inner fire and not being scared, to go after what we want, where our passions lie, and not really caring too much. It's all about expressing ourselves and putting ourselves out there and being brave. So I'm really looking forward to some of this energy. And then we have a little bit of what has happened between the 30th of June and the 2nd of July, kind of a bit of time just to sort of mull over what's gone on over the last couple of days, take a breath and wonder what was that energy all about until we get to the 2nd of July, where we have Venus trining Lilith. So the Venus energy is going to sort of soften a little bit the Lilith energy, and it's about that magnetic confidence, that sensual authenticity, being unapologetic to ourselves. This aspect, Lilith, is all about being quite wild and raw, and with the Venus influence, it softens and channels some of that into a bit of the Venusian charm. People will feel more comfortable expressing unconventional or taboo desires. Unconventional beauty may become a thing. Deeper emotional truths, we're going to get right down into the crux of things. Relationships will benefit from some of that rawness and that honesty. There's no pretending, no performing, no putting a lid on things. Then also on the 2nd of July, as if that wasn't already enough, we have Mars squaring the North Node. Now, the North Node is all about karmic energy. It's all about our purpose, our drive. And then with Mars putting a bit of pressure to move forward, move towards that. And a bit of conflict pushing the destiny Mars. When Mars squares the nodes, the universe is basically saying we need to act now, even if it feels uncomfortable. We're going to feel that urge to do something. Old passion or old patterns are going to clash with new paths. There's going to be a bit of tension and frustration, or a feeling that we're being pushed into decisions. So this is it's a bit of a turning point transit. So what happens now can have long-term, almost karmic significance. So this is quite a big one, and we're going to feel this. We're certainly going to feel this collectively. Also, on the 2nd of July, Jupiter squares Chiron. So, we've got some of that Jupiter in Leo energy where it can be They're very sort of ego related, and this theme is about healing the ego, expanding beyond old wounds. Jupiter magnifies whatever it touches, and Chiron is that wound. So, this transit might bring magnification of some of our wounds, bring them out into the light. And this transit also brings up themes around our confidence, our self-confidence, our visibility, feelings of rejection, or childhood wounds about being too much or not enough. But the square is like a bit of a breakthrough energy, and the healing comes through the courage and the creativity to express ourselves. So as you can see, there's a lot going on between 29th of June and 2nd of July. And then we have a tiny little break, 3rd of July, not much happening, but energy is building. So you'll feel the restlessness in the air, the tension, until we get to the 4th of July, where we've got real sudden Mars conjunct Uranus energy. Now, this energy is crazy energy. It's sudden action, it's breakthroughs, rebellion, liberation. It's one of the most explosive catalytic transits of the year. So expect sudden decisions, bold moves, unexpected changes, strong urges to break free from any restrictions. We might feel very rebellious at this time. People are going to act impulsively. They're going to feel driven to do what comes up for them. But it's also very innovative. It's a real quantum leap energy, Once we get through this next few days, I don't think things will ever be quite the same as they were a year ago, a week ago, a month ago. We're going to get potential sudden downloads, breakthroughs, something major potentially happening in the world that we're going to have to react to. So, it's quite a strong energy, and definitely one to watch out for. Okay, so moving on from the 4th of July, then we have Mars sextiling Neptune in Aries on the 5th of July. So the themes around this are going to be inspired action, spiritual motivation, intuitive drive. People are going to feel a bit more guided, creative. We're going to be feeling like we're connected to something bigger. And this is really good for spiritual work, for artistic projects, for healing, and compassionate energy. The sextile energy is quite supportive. Mars is very action orientated. Neptune can be, and the higher octaves can be quite spiritual, but it can also be about disillusion. And that energy the sextile energy is quite supportive, but it means that we have to do something. We have to put in a little bit of work in order to sort of activate that energy. And then also on the 5th of July, we have Mars trining Pluto. So this is all about power, transformation, unstoppable momentum. This is really deep, focused, targeted, strategic energy. Mars and Pluto together bring intensity, they bring that determination, that grit, and the ability to push through barriers. So it's really good for major breakthroughs, personal empowerment, and for reclaiming control, and for really getting to the crux of something and pushing through. If you've got a really difficult task to do, that Mars trine Pluto is really going to help you in this energy, and the energy is going to flow quite well. So then that brings us to the 6th of July. And then on the 6th of July, we have the Sun squaring Saturn. So again, we've got that reality check coming through, where the responsibility that we felt on the full moon, the discipline, this transit brings a moment of pressure or limitation. We're going to start to feel a bit constrained, maybe restricted, feel a bit tired, or confronted with consequences of previous actions. But it's also a very sort of mature transit. It strengthens our resolve and it clarifies our priorities. But it's very much a day of boundaries, structure, and for really getting sober on our decision making and working out where those boundaries are, what's realistic, where are we actually landing. Okay, and then moving on to the 7th of July, Neptune stations retrograde. So the themes around this are all about dissolving illusions, spiritual clarity, inner truth. Neptune's all about disillusionment and dissolving things. Inner truth, when Neptune retrogrades, it strips away fantasy and it reveals what's real. It can be a period of spiritual awakening, sharpening our intuition, and a bit of emotional detox, letting things go. Our dreams may become more clear. We might gain a bit more clarity, not so foggy. And people may see through the deception, including self-deception, the lies really that we tell ourselves. And then not a lot happening on the 8th of July until Venus enters Virgo on the 9th of July. So this theme is all about, it's the practicalities of life, practical love, refinement, devotion, healing. Venus in Virgo brings precision, care, intentionality to relationships and finances. People will express their love through service, through being helpful and thoughtful gestures. And it's a time really for improving our routines, our health, and the small details that make life run smoothly, getting ourselves organised. Really good time to sort of enjoy those little jobs around the house where we declutter something. And then moving on to the 10th of July, we have Venus trining Chiron. So this brings us some more healing through connection, being vulnerable, showing our gentle vulnerability. It's a very beautiful, soothing transit. Our relationship wounds may soften. We may have those conversations with a bit more compassion. And it's a really good time for reconciliation, for doing some kind of therapy work or having those deep, intimate conversations with our partners or friends or family members. And then just moving on to there's not a lot really until the 13th of July where we have the Sun conjuncting Mercury. And this is when we get that sort of following the Cazimi, the clarity, the communication, the Cazimi moment. Mercury right in the heart of the Sun. So our thoughts sharpen, our messages land, decisions become clear. A really powerful day for writing and communicating, speaking, for planning, and making any kind of announcement. And also on the same day, we have Venus squaring Uranus. So this theme is, it's relationship disruption. So Uranus is that chaotic, disruptive energy, and Venus can be very much focused around our relationships, and it may bring desire for freedom, unexpected shifts, shake up our patterns in love, money, our values. People will crave excitement, novelty, or independence, and it can bring those sudden attractions or sudden breaks in relationships, but always in service of authenticity. Right, so that was a whistle-stop tour of the key transits for the next 2 weeks, and wow, what a couple of weeks we've got coming up. I don't think life will actually be the same after we get through all of this astrology. Okay, so how do we work with this over the next 2 weeks? So the beginning of the next 2 weeks start off with all those reality checks, and that we need to see where the restrictions are or where things are not working really in order to fix them. So we're going to be faced with those realities, those sobering things that are going to be right in front of our eyes, and we have to do something. So take note of what's ready for a breakthrough. When we get that breakthrough energy, it's going to catalyze everything. But make sure we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So be honest with what needs to change, and then allow that healing energy to come in, ready to heal what is left behind, and always with all of this fire and air energy that we have going on, and a little bit of that Cancerian energy with Mercury going backwards in Cancer. We're going to feel this So always remember to do some grounding. Let's get out of our heads into our bodies as much as we can. Feel the earth beneath our feet. Do meditation practices, breathing practices, anything that can steady our nerves. And some weekly affirmations that may help with some of this erratic energy that we have going around. I am safe and supported. Everything is happening for me. I have got this. I let go and surrender, and I am divinely supported. Okay, so in summary, the next couple of weeks are going to feel very intense but very productive. They might feel emotional but also clarifying at the same time. Disruptive but liberating. Karmic but empowering. And the energy is going to be very fast moving, very unpredictable, evolutionary kind of energy. It's the kind of energy where people look back and say, that was a moment that everything changed. And sometimes it's exactly what we need in our lives. It's not always what we would pick, but those are the times that we look back and think, I might not necessarily have chosen that for myself. However, I can see why that needed to happen. Okay, so make sure that you do lots of grounding type work in this fast moving, fast paced energy. Get lots of rest, lots of sleep, keep yourself hydrated, work out where possible, go for walks in nature, have your feet touching the ground, anything that makes you feel grounded, splashing of water on the pulses and the backs of our hands, on the nape of our neck can be very, if we haven't got much time and we feel a little bit unsteady or a bit overwhelmed by things, a splash of water can really sort of ground us and bring us back into the moment, and taking some deep breaths where possible. So I hope you all have a wonderful couple of weeks, and I'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Take care. See you soon. Much love, Maria.